Greetings, everybody. It's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is the latest installment in my horror movie superlative series that I am collaborating with my good buddy Carlin. And we're at 1992 this week, picking out our horror movie superlatives for all the horror movies released that year. As a reminder, the only rules we have are we have actually had to watch the movie we're selecting, and we can only use a movie once for the categories. And also, after you watch this video, please go to Carlin's channel, link in the description. Watch his video with the same name, and then go to the community tab on his page and vote for who you thought had the better selections, whether they closely resembled your own or however you thought had the better justifications. It's up to you. It's just a friendly competition between Carlin and I. Also, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button on both of our channels if you haven't done so already. Also, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. I got my Nails in a Coffin series video out every single Friday, and I got a lot of fun movies planned for the rest of the year. And Carlin puts out at least 3 movie review videos out every week. Really solid stuff. You should check it out. And if I remember, I'll put a card up here for you, everyone to check out. And also, remember, these are our picks, and yours may and probably will be different than ours. And I'd love to read what your picks are, so please put those down in the comments down below, and I really appreciate it. So, thanks again, and now let's pick out some horror movie superlatives for 1992. And my selection for the most amazing horror movie of 1992 goes to Candyman. This is an excellent movie, and this was another year where it was easy to choose my most amazing pick. Candyman is one of the most iconic horror villains in the 90s, and that this movie is based off of a short story by Clive Barker. Tony Dodd delivers an award-worthy performance as the Candyman. Virginia Madsen is also incredible as Helen Lyle. You know, if you're watching this video, I'm sure you know what Candyman is about, but in case you don't, it's about the Candyman, a murderous soul with a hook for a hand covered in bees, and he's accidentally summoned to reality by a skeptic grad student researching the monster's myth. To summon Candyman, you have to say his name 5 times in a mirror. So he then appears and kills you after, he hears his name 5 times. Now, the chemistry between Helen and Candyman is just palpable. Candyman is probably one of the sexiest horror villains in the last 40 years. He's almost intoxicating. You know, when he tells Helen, be my victim.
Be my victim.
And what Helen's reaction when he says that is something else. She doesn't say anything, just the look on her face. She has a tear rolling from her cheek. It's just like, wow. It's such a well acted movie. It's a shame the sequels were nowhere near as good as this movie. And I love the underlying themes in this movie about race, poverty, relationships. The backstory of Candyman is tragic, and it kind of makes you want to root for him as the villain. I haven't seen the sequel remake yet, so I really should check it out. But Candyman is a fantastic film. It's an excellent movie, and an easy pick for me for the most amazing horror movie of 1992. And my selection for the best So Bad It's Good movie of 1992, from Full Moon Features, a company synonymous with So Bad It's Good, Demonic Toys. This is about a pregnant policewoman and a young delivery driver who become trapped in a haunted toy warehouse. It's a Charles Band film, Full Moon, so you know what you're going to get, and it's really good stuff. It's not a movie to be taken seriously. The acting is a little wonky, but the special effects are fun. It's killer toys. And the plot is nothing special. 66 years ago, some devil worshippers try to deliver a baby who's supposed to be like the Antichrist. But the baby dies, and they just kind of throw it in this pit, and it winds up in a vacant lot. And then they build this toy warehouse over it. So now the Antichrist is trying to come back, and his spirit is inhabiting all these toys as they start killing people. Like I said, it's a fun movie not to be taken too seriously. It's not really a cult classic, but it's a solid straight-to-VHS film from the early 90s. If you're familiar with other Full Moon features such as Puppet Master, Trancers, Dollman, and you enjoy those films, I just think you can definitely get some enjoyment from Demonic Toys. Check it out. It's a fun movie, and my selection for the best So Bad It's Good movie of 1992. And moving on, my selection for the most WTF movie goes to Sleepwalkers. This is the first story by Stephen King written specifically for the big screen. It wasn't a novel beforehand. He wrote this for it to be a movie. The plot revolves around the last 2 survivors of a vampiric shape-shifting species that feed on the life force of female virgins. It's a mother and son duo who have a human form as well as this bipedal werecat form that they can transform to at will. And they also have some telekinesis and illusion based powers as well. Domestic cats, which is awesome, are your only weakness, and the cats can see through their illusions. So far, not really sounding much like a WTF movie, pretty standard fare for a Stephen King story, but I left out one part of the story, and that is the incestual relationship between the mother and son. To me, that was really WTF. And I feel as though it was an unnecessary plot detail just to get like a WTF reaction, because it's really gross and it takes you out of the movie. I mean, why else would you put that in other than just to get a WTF reaction? Because they really don't explain it too well why this mother and son are doing it. It's kind of gross to watch, makes you feel real icky. And when I first watched it, I probably exclaimed out WTF, because it really doesn't add anything to the story as well. It's not really a great movie. It's okay if you can get past that unsettling issue that I have with it, which was why for me I selected it as the most WTF movie of 1992. And the best gore goes to an awesome Peter Jackson movie, Brain Dead, also known as Dead Alive. And this movie was pretty close to the most amazing and most WTF and most unique and probably most underrated categories. I probably could have fit this movie in all of those categories. But I selected it for best gore because the ending is just awesome. I mean, I wish I could watch this movie for the first time again with fresh eyes, because there's so much excellent gore in this movie. The ending in this movie is a blood-soaked party.
Party's over.
There's a lawnmower, a bunch of zombies. There's a giant grandma zombie, thanks to some animal stimulants, tranquilizers, and embalming fluids. The plot revolves around Lionel, a young man living in South Wellington, with his strict mother Vera. After Lionel becomes romantically entangled with a girl named Kita, Vera is bitten by a Sumatran rat monkey creature, and she transforms into a zombie, while also infecting many of the city's populace. But it's awesome. Easy selection for best gore. Again, if you've seen this movie, that ending is just, it's a gore, blood-soaked, awesome time. So much fun effects in that movie. All practical. Check it out. Yeah, my selection for best gore, Brain Dead, also known as Dead Alive. My most unique selection is going to Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness. The whole entire Evil Dead trilogy is amazing. Ash is a legendary hero in horror. Army of Darkness may not be as scary as Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2, but it's still entertaining as hell. And it works so well as a comedy horror, one of the best comedy horror films ever made. The practical effects are a blast, as well as the performances throughout the film. Bruce Campbell as Ash is just, wow. It's just chef's kiss. And I find this movie unique since it's the third movie in a trilogy. Evil Dead is probably maybe 75% horror, 25% comedy. Evil Dead 2, probably about 50-50. But then Army of Darkness, it shifts to going about maybe 75% comedy, 25% horror. And they really missed out on calling this movie Medieval Dead. That would have been fantastic to call it Medieval Dead. But the combination of horror and comedy resulted in one of the best horror trilogies in the history of horror films. Army of Darkness is a unique blend of genres that closes out a beloved trilogy. And it's a unique movie within the trilogy, and when you compare it to all the other three films, and I think it's really unique when you compare it to other horror films released that year, that, trilogies, by the time you get to the third movie, sometimes they get kind of stale, but you don't get that with Army of Darkness because they tried something new, something fresh. And yeah, I felt Army of Darkness was the most unique horror movie to come out in 1992. And for my most overrated pick, again, as a reminder for the rules, we actually had to have watched the movies we are selecting. And based on all the movies I've watched and the time I needed to get this video out, I had to go with Alien 3. Now, I know it's not a loved movie, but I still had to select it for overrated because it was such a drop in quality from Alien and Aliens, two iconic movies. Now, Alien 3 is not the worst Alien movie in the franchise, but I think it's probably the biggest disappointment. The setting in the prison planet was fine, but killing off Hicks and Newt in the manner they did was just really, disrespectful. Alien 3 could have been a much better movie if they went with a different idea. I can't remember where I heard it, but I remember one script was where Newt was a teenager and she and Ripley, along with Hicks, went to go fight more aliens. I can't remember what brought them there to go fight them or whatnot, but that probably could have been a lot better. But this movie was such a disappointment. I hated the ending with what happens to Ripley at the end. It just, they set up so much excellence with Alien and Aliens because it's such amazing movies, and they could have set up something really awesome. And I don't know how this was the script that they chose. It was just, yeah, really kind of boring as well, disappointing. And yeah, it's not a loved movie, so it's kind of maybe not fair to put it on overrated, since that's known for people who really love. I just don't like it, but yeah, based off the films I watched, looking at the list, I had to go with Alien 3 as my most overrated selection. And wrapping things up with my most underrated pick, I went with Dr. Giggles. Larry Drake is excellent in this movie. Dr. Giggles is a ton of fun, and I really like the idea of the plot. An escaped mental patient who believes he's a doctor arrives in town where his crazy father was killed years prior, and he starts to murder people. He eventually becomes obsessed with this teenage girl who has a heart condition. And Dr. Giggles will kill anyone who gets in his way. And he has this maniacal, funny laugh throughout the film. I mean, he is known as Dr. Giggles. And there are numerous medical puns in this film that really make it funny. And he kills people using medical instruments. And he's just really fun and charismatic when he's doing it. Because Larry Drake is an excellent villain. He was great in Darkman. It's a shame we lost him, because I would have loved to have seen what else he could have done, in the horror genre, because he was just great. Excellent actor. And I kind of wish they made a sequel to this movie, because, yeah, Dr. Giggles is just a fun movie. I mean, it's called Dr. Giggles, so you're going to have a fun time watching it. And you kind of know what you're going to expect, and that's exactly what you get. The kills are good. They're inventive. They're interesting. The performances are solid. It's just a fun, cheesy movie from the early 90s. And I think you'll have a blast if you watch it. So it's my most underrated horror pick for 1992, Dr. Giggles. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my picks. Here's a quick summary. Thanks again for watching this video. Now, please go to Carl's channel, link in the description. Watch his video with the same name as this one, and then go to the community tab on his page and vote for who you thought had the better picks. Also, again, let us know your selections, the comments down below. I love reading those with your justifications. It's a ton of fun. And if you can do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video, so you can check out my Nails in a Coffin series. I just wrapped up covering the entire Halloween franchise a few weeks ago, and in this year alone, I covered Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Urban Legend, Friday the 13th, and the Halloween franchises. So I'll put some links up here for you guys to check out. So I covered all those movies on Nails in a Coffin. Ton of fun. And like I said earlier, I got some great stuff planned for the end of the year. So take care of yourselves, everybody. Take care of each other. Have a happy, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a blast tomorrow if you're watching this the day it comes out. Take care of yourselves. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. And remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.